Hello and welcome to this episode of my podcast. Today I have with me Mr. Ramesh Narasimhan from Nyobolt, a company that developed a new 35 kWh lithium-ion battery that charges from 10% to 80% in just over 4.5 minutes. This was reported by CNN in their news edition in July 2024. Nyobolt is a pioneer in high power fast charging energy solutions that ensure mission critical uptime for power demanding industries. The company has expanded to provide solutions to robotic companies, AI data centers, and other industries that need uninterrupted power supply or always on power supply. Mr. Ramesh Narasimhan is Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer of Nyobolt, and he leads the organization's commercial growth, the expansion of its technologies application, and its entry into new markets. With over 25 years of international leadership across automotive, technology, and industrial sectors, Mr. Narasimhan has a strong record in capital markets, IPO readiness, NASDAQ listing, mergers and acquisitions, fundraising, governance, and business transformation. Before joining Nyobolt, he served as CFO of Ecarex Limited, President of Nissan Thailand and Nissan Philippines, and Group CFO of Al Futem Automotive. Welcome, Mr. Ramesh Narasimhan, to this episode. Would you like to add anything to this introduction I mentioned about Nyobolt and you before I start this episode?
Well, firstly, thank you for the very, very warm welcome, Ramesh. Really appreciate you taking the time today to talk with us. But no, that was a very perfect introduction about Nyobolt and us. Thank you.
Okay, so I have some queries for you, especially about your 4.5 minutes, the product, 4.5 minutes charging. It's really something, it's encouraging news and it's some innovation we'll talk about. But first, I would like to understand what led you to Nyobolt after your experience in major auto companies. Why did you think of getting into batteries?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Thanks for that. I've been exposed to EVs. Nissan was one of the pioneers in EV, and I've been exposed to EV for some time. But the biggest challenge always was, customer experience from a charging perspective. Just the downtime and the planning that customers had to do to charge a vehicle when it takes 40 minutes to an hour. And what really excited me about Nyobolt was the fact that you could charge the car in under 5 minutes, just like filling petrol. Of course, you need the right infrastructure, like we need, petrol stations, you need the, fast chargers. But that excited me, and Nyobolt did it without compromising the key challenge, which is, safety aspects of it and life cycle aspect of it. So when you typically charge a battery at that high power, um, the life cycle of the battery is very short, and the safety because of thermal issues can be compromised. Whereas Nyobolt found the answer to both of this. It has very low temperature, rise within the battery, so therefore it is highly safe and it lasts much longer. I mean, we have said in the past that, when you charge 0 to 100% fast charge, you can charge the car for 12 years before it will get to a capacity of 80%. That's a fantastic life cycle. And that's what attracted me because I think this is a game changer technology across multiple industries.
So, do you make the battery or only the charger, or do you make both and the BMS and everything associated with it?
We do not make the charger. So what we do is we do an end-to-end solution. So we do the anode powder, which is the specialty. We actually started as a anode powder company, and then we evolved into making, end-to-end, because it was really hard to explain how fantastic the anode powder is, without actually proving the endpoint. And hence we actually did the car that CNN wrote about in July 24. So we do the powder ourselves, we have a plant here, just outside Cambridge. So we do the powder here. We design the cells, we design the pack, we do the BMS, power electronics, all of that design is done internally. And then we have contract manufacturing that actually makes these for us. And simply because that gives us the flexibility, especially given the current geopolitical challenges, it gives us the flexibility of supply chain, having that diversified supply chain to ensure that we are nimble as a business.
When you say this is a different kind of battery, so it's not the normal lithium-ion battery of the FePO4 or the NMC type. Is it? I mean, either the anode or cathode. One of that is different, or what
Yeah,
exactly?
the anode is different. So firstly, we have two types of chemistries. So we have a graphite dominant, which is what typically goes into an EV vehicle,
Hmm.
and then we have a niobium based, which is primarily used in our industrial application. It has a much longer cycle life, higher charge rate. You can go up to 30C and beyond. And But the energy density is slightly lower than a graphite dominant, right? So that's uh, the offset to it, but it's got much longer cycle life, 10,000 plus, cycle life as opposed to a graphite dominant 4,000, which I explained earlier. So we do both of these chemistries, and as I said, the key um, change element is the anode. Most of the other materials are commercially available, but of a specific quality that we match with what we need as a performance.
So when you talk of energy density, is it lower because the FePO4 energy density is lower than an NMC battery, right? And
Yeah.
is it lower than that? What exactly is the energy density of Nyobolt battery?
I mean, it depends on the cell, but typically the energy density is not that much different to the batteries that you get in the market. So we're probably around 5% lower, but the power density is 10 times higher, right? So that's the difference. So there is, yeah, a slight compromise. But when you take the car, for example, if you can charge the car, in let's say less than 10 minutes, and you have a 70 80 kilowatt hour pack, um, if you can charge it in less than 10 minutes, you don't need big heavy battery packs in your vehicle. You don't need 1,000 mile range. No, firstly, nobody can drive 1,000 miles without stopping, and two is if you can drive 400 kilometers or 500 kilometers with a smaller pack. One is, the capital cost or upfront cost is much lower. Two is your downtime in terms of charging is reasonable. And third is from a sustainable perspective, you're not using that much material to put all in one battery pack in having 1,000 mile range. So it's got a multiple benefit when you can find that a balance between the range that you want and the speed at which you want to charge.
I agree with you, but one of the barriers to faster adoption of EVs is the lack of charging infrastructure, public charging infrastructure. So when you say that you don't need a lot of mileage and you can use a smaller battery and then anyway it's getting charged faster, then the next question which arises in my mind is this battery such that it can be charged at the normal charging infrastructure, or does it require a special charger or some special infrastructure which is different from what is normally available in public, on the roads
Yeah.
and all through the
No, no,
highway?
great question. So it can be charged in any of the normal charging infrastructure, but the benefits of fast charging comes based on the capacity of the charger. So if you have I mean, nowadays, like in China, 350 kilowatt charger is very common. They're moving towards a 600 kilowatt charger. Um, and Europe is also moving towards 350 kilowatt chargers. So higher the capacity of the charger, faster you can charge, but that doesn't stop people from charging it at their home or a 22 kilowatt charger that you typically find as well. Um, but the speed of charge is restricted by the capacity of the charger, not by the capacity of the battery.
I understand. But then I was only trying to understand that if the normal chargers can also charge it, you confirm that it's possible to get it charged
Yes,
by chargers of the other batteries like the NMC or
yes,
it
yes,
can do. So
yes.
when it comes to charge acceptance, there is nothing special about,
No,
there is no limitation. And not that I'm saying
correct,
there is, the speciality of course is there that you are able to charge it faster, but there's no limitation getting it charged by the normal chargers which are available,
correct.
right?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Now, your company made news for its ultra fast charging capability. That is a charging of a battery in an EV from 10 to 80% under 5 minutes. What happened next?
Yeah, I mean, so from a commercialization perspective, automotive is always a much longer gestation period. So what we have done is while we are focused on a longer term for automotive adaptation, we have taken the same technology and deployed it in other industrial segment where the critical need of uptime, operating efficiency, and the economical benefit of EV adaptation or EV technology adaptation is required. So recently we announced a partnership with Symbotic. We are supplying batteries, but this is using the other chemistry, which is the niobium chemistry. So we are supplying that into their robot applications in their warehouses. Again, it enables almost a 24/7 operation within their critical needs. And that's the fundamental difference is the life cycle is, as I mentioned, can withstand that longer utilization of the asset. Um, the power is very high, so the fast charging enables the uptime. And the key being is that it doesn't compromise safety. In fact, it's much higher safe in terms of its performance than comparative products.
Yeah, that's very important. There are two aspects when we come to lithium ion. At least people from the lead acid battery industry, they agree that, of course, maintenance is an advantage. They agree that fast charging is an advantage, but they always consider that the two aspects which somewhat deter people is the price and safety. Now you've been talking about safety and you're saying, okay, Nyobolt batteries are much safer than the other lithium-ion technologies. How does it compare in price, or is it something which you've already commercialized and, or has the product been only developed, or has it been commercialized, sold in the market, and you have verified and validated the product? What
Yeah, no,
exactly?
the verification and validation of the product happened some time ago. We've got the certifications. Now we are in commercial, we are in production. So we've started supplying to our customers now. And yeah, so but all our products are not typically customized based on the customer need because the operating needs are different. It's mostly B2B application, and therefore a lot of it is customization, and that takes a little time. But yes, we are in production and ready to go. And in terms of the cost itself, I mean, from a TCO, total cost of ownership perspective, we are extremely competitive. We actually, add much more value. Mainly, again, going back to the simple, basic fundamentals, right? You have much higher uptime, so your productivity or your asset utilization is much, much higher. You have a long cycle life, so your replacement cycle of the battery is, taken care of. And there is no safety concern. So
Yeah.
all of that, drives a very favorable economic, benefits to the organization.
Yeah, I understand. Because these are the major two things which always is a point of concern when it comes to lithium-ion batteries. Now, when you say total cost of ownership, that's something, okay, I understand that TCO aspect. Again, for the TCO aspect, to really prove itself, you have to wait for that 10 years or something. But on a like-to-like basis, like today, if I have a lithium-ion FePO4 battery and your battery, and if it is comparable apple to apple, orange to orange, is your battery costlier? And if it is costlier, how much more?
No, I don't think ours is cost. And again, it depends on how you measure it. I don't like to measure cost per kilowatt hour. Rather, what is the total cost of a battery in a vehicle? Because, you know, if you have to deliver the same performance having a 150 kilowatt hour battery, and you can deliver the same with 75 kilowatt hour, half the
Yeah,
size,
yeah,
then
the
dollars per
cost.
kilowatt hour is irrelevant. What is the
Hmm.
total cost? And we find always that we are much more efficient when we um, compare the total cost
Okay, so you mean to
of,
say
of
that
that particular solution.
if somebody's 100 kilowatt hour you're replacing with a 75, you cannot compare 100 to 100 and then say, okay, my cost is then going higher. But because you're giving a product which is of a lesser capacity, performing the work of something of a higher capacity, then you are comparable. Is
And
that what you?
better, and better.
Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to EVs, yes, it's a purely cycling application. I understand. But Nyobolt also talks of powering autonomous robots and data centers. Does this battery have an advantage in both those applications also compared to other batteries, or
Yeah.
it is more in the cycling life battery?
No, I mean, we in the bot application that I just mentioned with Symbiotic, we replaced supercaps, and we found that our battery and the customer found that our batteries were much superior in terms of operational benefits compared to supercaps. And so again, going back to the fundamentals, the uptime was much better, the life cycle is much better, the safety is much better, so therefore the economic benefit is much better.
And the
So
charging is faster too in that also?
charging is faster as well. See, in that instance, the supercap charging is probably as fast as um, the battery, but the battery has much higher energy density compared to super. So you need less frequent fast charging compared to supercap. So that's the difference, right? It depends on what technology you're comparing it to. So in that instance, we were the benefit of a supercap like fast charge, battery like energy density is a brilliant combination to have. And that's why the AI robot is a major opportunity. In terms of the data center, of course, data center is now the in thing. It's
Yeah, in thing, yeah.
um, in news, in everyday discussions. And there are two elements to it. One is the power required to establish an AI data center, and that's not the space we are in. What we are in is at the rack level. What happens with the data center is because AI data center. I have to be very specific. Is that the
Surges,
spikes are
surges and
very
spikes.
quick and quite frequent.
Hmm,
And when that happens, the impact, the pressure it puts on the grid is very high. And what we do is with our battery technology, we actually, you know, we absorb the spikes within our battery so that the grid doesn't feel the pressure um, because of the operational need. And that's a fundamental difference. And we have combined again in a DC rack, you've got supercapacitors and a backup battery unit. We have actually combined both into one solution. So you not only have a solution that's better, but also from a real estate, which is critical in a data center, you have much less utilization of real estate, and you have a lot of other benefits as well. You can use the GPU utilization improves dramatically. You can have much better operating costs from a power expense perspective. So those are, other benefits that the system delivers.
Yeah, when you say that the battery is there to take care of the spikes and surges, but then this is it something specific to your battery? Because any other battery would also take care of that, right?
Not at that. So the response time needs to be at a millisecond, and uh, there are not a lot of batteries that can actually do at a millisecond. And as I said, the life cycle is a huge benefit. So you don't want to be replacing this rack's battery ever so often. So we have the life cycle to back with the ability to respond within that millisecond. You
Yes,
do not.
but
I don't think there are many batteries out there that can actually do that.
Uh, I understand, but tell me one thing. In what way is this better? Is it because of the power control system or is it because of the battery chemistry? Because when you talk of your whole system, probably that response in milliseconds or something must be more to do with your control system or electronics, or is it due to the battery? Is it something specific to the battery, or any other battery with your control system will also deliver performance like this?
No, I mean, look, it's each element of the design is optimized to perform and deliver what the customer needs. So, you know, our cell has got high power, so it has the ability, but without the power electronics, power electronics might, in some instances, if you use a power electronics that's not designed for that particular cell, it might be compromised. So, for us, each element of it has been designed, keeping in mind that we need quick response. So it's not that our power electronics will work with better with another cell. We don't think so. And our cell with a different power electronics might not respond to at the same extent. So everything, as I said, is optimized towards that goal of millisecond response in this application.
Okay, so what exactly is the business case for operators? Is it about uptime, cost, or speed?
Well, I don't think you can look at that independently. So uptime and speed are connected because the speed of fast charge enables a much higher uptime. And a much higher uptime means higher asset utilization, leading to efficient cost. So, for example, if you need, instead of having 10 assets, you only need eight because your downtime is less, your capital cost is much lower, your running cost because it's only eight is much more efficient. Your maintenance cost, all of that is, and your productivity also is much higher because your uptime is higher. So it is not one or the other. It's all of it actually makes it um, very highly economically beneficial from a customer perspective.
So, when it comes to, I mean, now we're talking of three different applications, right? One is, the cycling batteries, which are for the EVs. One is the robotic application, and one is the data centers. So, all these three batteries generally, at least in lead acid, they have a different design, they have a different, composition, and various different parameters to suit these applications, because all three are different applications. Now in this case, is the battery and the total system, so to say, is it the same for all three or is it different?
Yeah, I mean, there are some. I mean, it depends. I think the EV has got a different chemistry, so it's slightly different from that perspective. The cell design, the cell size varies depending on
Yeah,
the
of course that
application.
varies. Yeah.
Um, but the underlying principle of it is similar. It's not necessarily the same. I mean, the AIDC, you've got uh, some changes, but the cell in the robotics and in the DC are same. But the other elements around it are different because of the response time required in a DC is different to what you need in a robot. So it's that's why I said a lot of it is customization for us, depending on what the end application is.
And have you commercialized your product in all these three applications, or have you done it only in maybe data center or something like that?
I mean, the robotics is certainly commercialized, and we are, ready to go. In terms of automotive, we have proven, in our concept car,
Hmm.
so it's ready.
Hmm.
But every automotive OEM that we talk to has a slightly different,
Hmm.
need. So those discussions are happening in
Yeah.
parallel. But the underlying technology is ready.
Hmm.
And in terms of the DC, we have completed our proof of concept. We'll be testing with a couple of our um, potential customers in January, and so it should be readily available by Q2 of next year, end of Q2 next year.
Okay, now when it comes to all these three various applications, what is the smallest battery in robots and the biggest battery in, I mean, these autonomous robots?
You mean in terms of the capacity?
Yes. Is it very different from an EV? Is it much smaller compared to an EV?
Much smaller. Yeah, I mean EVs typically you're talking about 70 to 100 kilowatt hours.
Hmm.
In this it could be like 1 to 1.5 kilowatt hour pack.
Hmm.
The bot size is much smaller, so
Hmm.
you need it's a very smaller,
Compact
much
battery.
smaller pack. Yeah, very compact. Yeah.
And data centers again are huge.
No, no, data centers will be also because it goes in the rack system. It's like the old like a
UPS
VCR.
system.
It's a 1U two U size. Yeah.
Not the big data centers?
No, but they go at the rack level. So there's still uh you will have a number of them,
Yes,
but
in
the
series.
product by itself is not big. You can put that in the server rack, or you can have it as a sidecar solution. So yeah.
Okay. Well, what are some trends you are seeing in energy as we approach 2026? And what does the future look for these batteries and the entire system, so to say?
Yeah, I think I mean the geopolitical, plays a huge part in,
Hmm.
how the
Yes.
industry is going to be shaped.
Hmm.
I think access to material, and having that diversified supply chain is going to play a very important role in future
Hmm.
because of, we have seen how tariffs have
Hmm.
played in the recent past, and some of the countries impacted more. And then government policies, of course, is going to have an impact in terms of adaptation of environmentally sustainable solutions, right? Some government encourage it more than others. So I think all of that are going to have a major impact going forward. But if we talk about from a customer perspective or a consumer, like a B2C, like in a car, the more availability of charging infrastructure, fast charging infrastructure is going to be critical for higher adaptation of EV, and the cost of EVs needs to go down. I mean, those are some of the key things that's going to impact the future adaptation of those kind of technologies. And that's why you see hybrids now coming back in.
Yes.
Again, our solutions, you know, play a very critical role even in hybrids because
Hmm.
it's the same concept in a
Hmm.
hybrid.
Hmm.
And whichever the way that the trend is, whether it's a hybrid or an EV, we are ready to move. Um, but yeah, some of these external factors do have a big impact.
Yeah, they do. And do you also ship out of your country? You make it in UK, right? The product?
The powder is made in UK, but the other parts of the battery packs are made outside of UK. So in different, as I said, we have a very diversified supply chain. So
Hmm.
we make it in different parts of the world. And yeah, we are, right
The
now our
final
custom.
product is shipped from?
Well, depending, each product has a different
Oh,
country where
okay.
it gets shipped from. So but mostly Asia has got a massive presence, in China and outside of China as well. but also in other parts of the world. And so the end customer will dictate where it gets shipped to. But today, our first customer, we're shipping it into US.
Okay, so you are already exporting the product to various countries, or this is the first shipment is going to US, is it?
Yeah, first shipment is going to US. Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking at other markets too for this.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the end customer where their operations are.
Hmm.
So, we look at it segment by segment and where, you know, the customers who are ready to move quickly.
Okay, good, good. I wish you all the best, and I'm sure this episode of mine will be interesting to customers because your battery and the product as such is something different, exclusive. And in case you want to, I mean, you feel that I've missed out some question or you want to, tell something more about your company, please go ahead. Anything more
No,
you want to
I
say?
think your questions were absolutely very insightful. I really appreciate you taking the time, in understanding about Nyobolt and asking these very deep questions, which I'm sure would be of interest to your listeners. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramesh Narasimhan, and Jen too. I think she's still online. So thank you very much for coming on my podcast, and thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Ramesh, for taking the time for us
Yeah,
and listening to our progress at Nyobolt.
yeah. Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you. Have a nice
Bye.
Thank
day.
you.
Bye, bye, bye.
Take care. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye. Have a great
We
day.
look forward to listening to it.
Yeah. Thank you.